Good evening, good evening, and welcome back. We are
We are
back,
back.
back
We are back.
Yeah,
We
man.
are
after
back.
We've been
three
away
week
for a
after
minute.
after
Y'all thought we
after a
was
three
done?
week
Y'all thought we was
after a
finished?
3 week hiatus. We have returned.
We
This is
back.
episode number
We,
twenty
we
four
was we
of the
was
Two
we
Truths
was deep diving
podcast.
into the playoffs. So all these games were happening every single day, all day. And obviously, life happens, and schedules and stuff like that. We'll try to be more consistent for you fans. I know a lot of people out there were texting me on the side like, "Yo, when's the next episode?" So,
Facts. Facts.
again, as I told you guys, we were just like watching the games. There were so many games to keep up on. So, but yeah, we're here. And on a night where there's no NBA for a little bit for today, and it's back tomorrow. We're back with the Sixers and the Heat at Philly for Game 3. No Joel Embiid. He is ruled out officially. So I predict Heat will go up 3-0 in that series. Even though Philly's going to be a raucous crowd in there, they don't have enough to keep up with them. And then obviously we have the second game of the nightcap is Dallas versus Phoenix, which is weird to me with the scheduling because you would think Golden State
We'll play
and
first.
right, but they don't play till Saturday, which is like
Yeah.
just the NBA Finals. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
I
we
guess
got
that series drives more ratings. We could talk
yeah,
about that later, but that series has probably been the most entertaining series for the second round.
yeah. And then but yeah, we have Dallas, Phoenix versus Dallas in Dallas for Game 3. Woo, tough situation there. I am on record picking the Dallas Mavericks to win this series. I'm officially changing my. I have a right to change my mind. Um, I was thinking with some hate, for the Phoenix Suns, and I apologize for not being biased. Because as you know, avid Laker fan here, we don't root for anybody in the Pacific Division, but hey,
I mean, in my opinion, Dallas wasn't even supposed to be there. Ernest and Eric know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking
you picked the Jazz in 5, you doof. Like, what are we do? I was like, no, and I tried to get you off that hill, and you stood on the hill, and I was like, after they took Game 1 without Luca, I was like, bro, you don't see what I'm seeing, and you still was like, nah. They need to get it together. It is the
Yeah.
Utah Jazz, now formerly
Utah
known as Utah
ass.
as, okay, with two Z's, and you could throw a couple extra Z's on the end of that because they put you to sleep. So,
Yep.
Yo, guys, I'll be right back. You can go and continue, right?
yeah.
All right.
All right. So,
Um.
all right, you want
So
to get
yeah.
into
So
first
let's
round?
let's
Yep.
deep dive into the first round. We'll start in the Eastern Conference. We'll start from the 1-8 matchup. The Miami Heat versus the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, I had the Hawks pushing that series to 6. It
Hmm.
didn't even go there.
Yeah.
Um, I Trey Young obviously needs help. Clearly, just with the talent around him. Um, he's a small guard. It was kind of easy for them to trap him and get him out of his rhythm, be physical. Um, and Miami, he did a great job of, literally taking him out the game. And um, Trey Young had to work for every single basket throughout the whole series. And
Hmm.
and the sad thing about the roster construction in Atlanta is that you don't have another player that can kind of create their own shot.
Right.
Trey Young kind of sets up that whole offense for them. So, um, yeah, great series by the Heat. By recognizing that. Again, one of the best coaches in the league, Eric Spoelstra.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I had the Heat in 6, but they won in 5, a gentleman sweep. What do you think about that series, Amani?
I'm trying to remember. I didn't have it in six. I didn't have it going to 6. I had the Heat like in. I think I
I
said it
think
was
you had
either
it. I think you had the Heat sweeping them.
in sweeping them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sweeping them. But Atlanta was able to take that one game due to the Trey Young game winner. But the Miami Heat just had Trey in an ice box, like,
Yep.
and the Hawks rely heavily on their offense of like the pick and roll, getting Trey Young to switch and stuff like that. But with the Miami, you can't do that because everybody on the court is a defender. It's a great defender. So it's like, all right, you setting the screen off of Kyle Lowry. Next thing you know, you got Jimmy Butler switching. Then you do that again. Bam is switching, right? So it's just, and then you got PJ Tucker switching. So you just got like a lot of different. Like you would think there would be mismatches for Trae Young, but he can't abuse them because the Miami Heat is just so great defensively, and I just think that was the issue for the Hawks and Trae Young, and I think it all just came to like to fruition, like especially in Game 5, how the Miami Heat was able to cap off that series where they trapped Gallinari. The Hawks couldn't even get off a shot. They couldn't even get off a shot because they were
No,
just
they couldn't.
so locked in. You know, Jimmy Butler had great performances. I believe in Game 2 he had like 45, 47,
He
something
had
like
47. Yeah,
47. He was
yeah.
going nuts. You know, and the things that I
Remember,
was
Duncan Robinson also in that series had 27. Game
yeah,
one, he was
yeah.
9 for 10 for shooting, 9 for 10 from the 3 point line. And and
And,
then Jimmy Butler added 21 points, and PJ Tucker added 16 points, and Kyle Lowry
yeah.
added 10. So like,
Well,
yeah,
when you got Peter Tuck giving you 16 points, you got a problem, man. But
yeah,
that was just the way for the Miami Heat to get their reps in. You know, like no, I don't think anybody picked the Atlanta Hawks to win this series, but the Heat just came in and did what they had to do, straight up,
straight up,
straight
straight
up.
up. Yeah, man. Again, Miami took care of business. They did what they were supposed to do. And yeah, I think like I said, Trey Young, Miami, Atlanta they have a lot of work ahead of
Hmm.
them. They have to do to kind of get that roster right because it's
Hmm.
clear against elite defenses, Trey Young can be neutralized.
Even the missing of Clint Capella, like I even feel like if they had Clint Capella, it still probably wouldn't have made the difference.
No, it wouldn't have made a difference. 'Cause
Yeah,
again, um, they were Miami's so versatile of throwing defenders at you.
exactly.
And they were picking him up at half court, blitz trap,
Hmm.
force Trey
Make
Young
him
to give up the
give up
ball.
the ball.
And
Hmm.
now you either got Kevin Herter trying to create his own shots, which he's not good at, or Gallinari on ISO, which you don't want.
Hmm.
So, Miami were getting whatever they wanted defensively and offensively from him.
Hmm.
But yeah, so next series, 4-5 matchup. You have Philadelphia 76ers versus the this versus the Toronto Raptors. For my own agenda, I wanted
I did. I
I
think we
I
all wanted it.
I wanted Doc Rivers
We all
and
wanted
James
it.
Harden to blow that 3-0 lead and lose that
We
series.
all wanted it.
Um,
I wanted
We
that
all
but
so bad.
we all as NBA fans to see something like that never happened before.
yeah,
Like we all wanted that to happen, man.
but at the end of the day, Philly took care of business, and I actually felt going into Toronto they were going to win that game six.
Game 6,
Game
yeah.
Um,
6.
I felt that way because after game 5, when they should have closed it out,
Hmm.
at Philly when they lost by like 20 something points, everyone was kind of like, oh, they're going to lose, be careful going into that environment. I was just like, man, they kind of just took the foot off the gas. I'm assuming they probably thought like, Toronto was just going to just come in and be like, you know what, it's done. They already lost Van Fleet, right? So like it was just like going into that environment, but they didn't show up. And James Harden, whew, has had a struggle. I'm not even going to say struggle. He has he is no longer the James Harden of what we've known in
Hmm.
Houston. I think all of us have to come to the realization that he's not that guy that was in Houston. Not to say he's terrible because he just regressed, and I think we got to stop holding him to this level. I get why he's being held accountable to that level because of the max contract that he's going to pursue in an offseason, over 200 something $1 million. And I get all that, but we also have to understand that James Harden is not the James Harden from Houston.
Hmm.
This is Joel Embiid's team. The team does not go without Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is the one who anchors that offensively and defensively. Um, you know, Toronto with a versatile lineup of wings that they have really showed some fight. Um, Kind of questionable about the Pascal Siakam elbow to Joel Embiid's face. I kind of think it's a basketball play, but I also understand how that looks.
But
Um,
why was Joel still in the game?
yes, that
Yeah,
was going to
that's
be
the
my next point.
question. That's the question.
Joel Embiid had no business being in the game. They were up
Right.
by 24
I heard
points at that time.
Danny Red got on Doc Rivers for like having him in the game. I heard that like maybe a couple days ago, and I'm just like, see, like
Yeah.
bad things happen when you leave your stars in the game when they're up by like a good margin.
Right.
We've seen it happen numerous of times.
Right. So to recap it, like again, the series was an entertaining series for the most part, but again, Joel Embiid was a dominant force in that game. You know, and what do you guys think about that series and how it went?
Go ahead, Eric.
Um, I felt that Raptors could have easily won Game 3. They had that lead and they blew it late, especially in the fourth quarter and in overtime. It could have been 4-2 the other way, Raptors, but
Right.
but they had no answer for Joel Embiid. And I also mentioned this in our previous episodes about James Harden, and I asked y'all, is James Harden losing his step? And I do remember asking y'all that question, and you were like, I don't know about that. It seems to me that he's lost his step, and I think that with the Raptors series in the later games and later on in that series, the Raptors kind of exposed them a little bit, and now you're seeing what the Miami Heat are doing. He's just getting tortured with
Well,
no
I
Joel
would
Embiid.
that's the thing. Like
Yeah,
again, it's glorified now because Joel Embiid is not there. I can guarantee you, they split those two
oh
games
yeah,
in
in
Miami
Miami.
if
Yeah,
Joel Embiid
yeah.
is there,
Oh yeah.
because the Sixers had a lead in Game 1. They also had a lead in
Mm-hmm.
Game 2. So like
Mm-hmm.
you can tell they're just missing Joel Embiid. I think if Joel Embiid is there, the series is tied 1-1 going back to Philly. That's just my opinion with that.
Yeah.
But to your
Anyway,
point, to your point, like James Harden got exposed, but it's at the detriment of Joel Embiid not being there as well. And he was still getting exposed in Toronto against Toronto, but now it's just more glorified.
yeah. So, and also for the Raptors, it's a stepping stone for them. How they see it, how their season went. But now the question is, what's going to happen with their coach?
Nothing.
And there's been rumblings going out around
I don't
about Nick
know.
Nurse.
No.
And
Let's not go there. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. He's not going
first,
to be a Lakers head
honestly,
coach.
like,
He's staying. I'm telling you, he's staying in
I'm
Toronto. He's
agreeing
not
with you
going anywhere.
because if that's the case, Masai Ujiri wants the King's ransom for from the Lakers. If that's
Yeah, it
didn't
doesn't.
make
It
the move.
doesn't.
So
Listen, Nick Nurse is up for an extension. So what are his I'm not going to say peon. That's a Kyrie thing. What are his what is Nick Nurse's camp going to do? Actually, even better, Nick Nurse is a Clutch client. So with that being said, what Clutch is very notorious for getting leverage. And what is the best way to get leverage if you're Nick Nurse? Attach your name to the Los Angeles Lakers because they have a coaching vacancy. So it just makes sense. Like we all get it. We understand. Nick Nurse we don't have to worry about Nick Nurse in the coaching situation. Now the assistant coach, and again, we're gonna get to the Lakers coaching carousel later in the show, but I just wanted to put that out there.
all right, so that's my summary for the Raptors Sixers series. Also I heard y'all was talking about the Hawks and the Heat. That series, let me chime in on that for a little bit. Trae Young was put in jail from the start of the series. Also the fact that Clint Capella missed most of the series. He had the ankle injury in that playing game against the Cavaliers. It severely hurt. They had no answer for Bam. I mean, John Collins, he was a no-show. And mind you, if Trae Young doesn't make that layup in Game 3, this is a sweep. So
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
Trae Young has average 15 points this series. A total reversal from what he did last year's playoffs. It was to a point where Kevin Knox in 2 games in this series scored more points than Trae Young. That's how bad it was for him. So
Abysmal.
it was
Knicks fans
abysmal.
had a parade when they saw Kevin Knox score some points.
Man.
But yeah, Armani, what are your quick thoughts on the Philly and Toronto
I
series?
mean, we said it when we brought it up. Like I just as everybody else, when the Raptors went down, because I picked Philly to win the series, but the Doc Rivers is known for blowing like 3-1 leads and stuff like that. So when the Raptors won that first one, it was just like up, and then when they won that second one, it was like oh, and so we was kind of I was watching Game 6 just hoping that somehow, some way, the Toronto Raptors could pull it off and force it to a Game 7. But it is what it is. I mean, Joel Embiid inserted his dominance. I will say this one thing because Eric brought it up about the game 3 victory for the 76ers. That game winning three was very questionable. Very questionable. Like I always was told that you couldn't get up a jump shot in that small amount of time. So I mean, if you guys ever get the chance to just look at the replay,
0.9 seconds.
right? And
Wait a minute.
I know you go. I know you're going with this, but I know you're going with this. But still,
Armani, hold on, wait. I'm not. I gotta put it out there.
You're right. You're right.
You can't say this. You can't say this because there's a player who played for our favorite team in a series against the San Antonio Spurs that helped us get to a championship. Okay, who hit a game winner in 0.4 seconds, and it was ruled a good play. Right. So 0.9 seconds, Joel Embiid, bravo, brother.
Yeah, I guess. But nowadays they review everything and stuff like that. So like that's all I'm just saying.
Listen, I'm just saying you can't have a problem with 0.9 if you don't have a problem with 0.4. It's just
get it. All right, that's fine. But all in all, like I just think it would have been dope for the Toronto Raptors to come back. We all had Philly winning the series, and I mean, it just sucks that it happened to Joel Embiid, that he got hurt.
Yeah, man.
He's the MVP of the league, like straight up. He's the MVP of the league, and it's just like, damn, like the playoffs just been so good. Like the first round of the playoffs was just so good, and now it's like the lingering injuries are like key guys missing, and it's kind of like
and it's piling up, man.
It's piling up, and I don't. Obviously, we're not going to hear the last of it, but it just sucks where you have the MVP of the league not playing in the playoffs because of injury. Crazy.
Yeah, he's gonna get MVP. I they waiting for. Listen,
I like how I would just say this real quick. I do like how they're announcing the awards instead of waiting for the little award show that they do at the end of the season. It was corny. I do like how they're doing it. Like it's kind of like
they're going back to where it was before, and
right. And also just to touch on real quick, just the designs of the awards, like they're not what we're used to seeing. It's like this little small kind of ball looking thing. Like I just think that's kind of interesting. But if everybody's getting the same thing, what will the MVP award look like? That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that's changing.
Okay, I feel like that shouldn't change. I just feel like it depends on
it's Jerry West is the statue, right?
Yeah.
They should change, I think. I'm just saying, like he's already the logo, man. Like
right.
Give it make the MVP award Kobe or MJ or you know what I'm saying, like
or Kareem. Kareem. Somebody who won it multiple times. Yeah.
Right. Like Kareem, I think holds the record for most MVPs.
We got 6 of them.
I think him and MJ are tied. I think so. So
I think MJ got 5.
No, MJ got 5. Kareem got 6. LeBron got 4.
Took 1. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And LeBron has 4. So right. Give it to somebody. I just think the statue should be changed because Jerry West is already the logo. Like you're the logo. Hello, you're the logo. Like literally, you know what I'm saying? So, but moving on, the next series. I mean, we all knew this was gonna be a cakewalk, but even worse that Milwaukee Bucks lose their second best player, and they were the 3 seed and they faced the fraudulent 6 seed Chicago Bulls. Let me not say fraudulent because they've also gone through some injury issues.
I don't know. I was high on the Bulls during the season.
I was high on the Bulls before the season when we did our preseason predictions. The Bulls
had them at 4th, right? We had them
like I had 10 heads, and I was like, dude, look at how they play. And evidently, they lived up to that prediction up until they were hit with COVID and injuries.
And when they ran up against teams better than them,
like they were literally winless against the top 3 teams in the East and Western Conference.
That only win came in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is
DeMar DeRozan had to put up a 40 burn.
Right, exactly.
Right. And DeMar DeRozan looked like he was seeing LeBronto. But anywho, I feel bad for him, man, because he had to go up against prime LeBron, and then now he gets away from LeBron and goes out east, and he has to face prime Giannis.
So all right,
come on, bro.
Wait till we get the West. I'm gonna remember that because it's a certain individual who said something. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
I think you guys might have a feeling, but we'll get to that. When I bring up the name, you're gonna be like, all right, now I get the connection. But go ahead.
Right. But yeah, man, Milwaukee completely dominated this series. the last games 4 and 5, they were up by 30 plus points
It was
without their
games.
second best player.
Yeah,
So
games
like
3 and 4 in Chicago, they blew them up by 20 and 30. Like
You
it
guys,
was
right, like you're
absurd.
at home. Like
yeah.
after winning game 2, I was like, wait a minute, okay, maybe,
Mhm.
maybe,
Mhm.
and no,
Man, you
it just flamed out.
you you got Giannis' brother dunking on people.
Yeah, it was bad. Vucevic was getting exposed crazy. Um, but again, like there's something to be said right now about Mr. Levine because
Mm.
Mhm.
there's
He's
some
a free agent.
rumblings.
He's a
There's some
free agent.
rumblings about supposedly that he wasn't too happy about sharing the role, so to speak. Like DeMar coming, like it was supposed to be built around Zach, right?
Mhm.
Then DeRozan comes in and he's an MVP conversation. He completely is the face of the
Mhm.
franchise.
Mhm.
Levine gets hurt for some time. DeMar DeRozan's holding it down all year. And now Levine's kind of playing in the background now. And now there may be some rumblings about him potentially leaving Chicago to pair up with these two guys behind me. Now, again, I don't I don't necessarily think it'll happen. I'm not that guy. I mean, I am that guy that thinks, the Lakers are getting everybody
You
because
getting everybody,
it's the
man.
Lakers. But I'm going to be really realistic here. I don't see any chance that Zach Levine becomes a Laker, but there is a possibility. That's all I'm going to say. Um, some things may have to be worked out with signing trades and things of that nature, but it can be worked out. It could be a potentially 3-team deal. Who knows? But again, personally, I don't think Zach Levine will be a Laker. But again, you never know. DeJounte Murray did post on Twitter of Zach Levine in a Spurs jersey. They
It's
have cap room.
crazy. Yep.
They have cap room this
Mhm.
offseason. They can give him a max deal. I think having them two in the backcourt would be fun to watch. So, but again, it's all speculation.
Mhm.
We'll see what happens. I do think the Bulls. I think from going forward now need to look at what they need based on roster construction, and I'll let you guys give your thoughts on the series after
They
I
need
make this
a
point.
defensive wing. We said
Not
that.
not only just a defensive wing.
A defensive
Honestly,
big as well.
that's what I was going.
Yeah.
Big man.
If I think what they should do is knock on the door in Utah and say,
There you
"Hey,
go. There you
Rudy
go.
Gobert.
Mhm.
here is and the cap." Cause I already did the mock trade. It works. Here is Nikola Vucevic.
Mhm.
Here is Patrick Williams. Here's a second round pick. If you want to throw in a first, because he's a top defensive guy, make it protected or pick swap, whatever. And they get Rudy Gobert and maybe a filler. It could be either Royce O'Neal or it could be what's his name Eric
Pascal.
Pascal. Yeah, Eric
Mhm.
Pascal.
Mhm.
You know what I mean, to make it work, because I think you put Rudy Gobert with some guards that can actually guard, because we know in Utah those guards don't guard. He'll be looked at in a different way,
Mhm.
because he's looked at. Yes, we get the man is corny, right? But but he also gets picked on a lot because his teammates who defend on the perimeter cannot defend.
They want him to
So
guard everything.
right, so we have to look at the situation more than the talent.
Mhm.
But I think he fits super well with the Bulls. They may have to work on some kinks because he may clog the paint because DeMar DeRozan loves the mid range. But I think the Bulls make sense, or even Charlotte makes sense for him
Mhm.
there. But what do you guys think on that Bulls and Bucks series? Again, unfortunately, Chris Middleton is out. He is also out for the second round right
Mhm.
now, which is clearly after game 2. He is well needed. But what do you guys think about the first round matchup between them and the Bulls?
It wasn't that surprising. Well, it's surprising that the Bulls won game 2, and then the Bucks just said they dominate games 3 and 4, and they put that series to bed
Yeah.
immediately. Giannis, the fact that the bench without Chris Middleton came up huge. Grayson Allen was a monster in that
So
series.
here's a stat. Grayson Allen averages over 14.5 points a game when Chris Middleton is not in the game.
Mhm.
So he easily becomes like that filler, that Chris
Right.
Middleton, just a lesser version, so to speak. So it's just, I mean, and it sucks. It's unfortunate for Chicago because again, Caruso was also out. You know what I mean? He had COVID. I mean, he had the concussion injury, and then Zach LaVine had COVID, and he was out of the playoffs. So, I mean, there's nothing else you can do.
It was just a shame that the Chicago Bulls didn't have like the full product on the floor, especially what we know of like during the season with Lonzo, Caruso, and the rest of the gang. It's just unfortunate, but like, you know, Bucks is hungry straight up, and Bucks have, like we said, the Bucks got that next man up mentality. So if Chris Middleton goes down, just like you explained, Grayson Allen, like he was the filler straight up,
and Drew Holiday, he was as typical.
Shout out to Bobby Portis, man.
Bobby Portis coming
I
up
let
big.
him go, by the way. Damn. I just realized he was a Knick.
It was seeing him and Julius Randle.
What? Imagine if y'all had Bobby Portis now. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, like you guys said, you know, the series was expected to go this way. I had Bucks in 4. You know, I didn't see them winning a game, but as far as Chicago, but you know, again, something to be said. Keep your eye on Zach LaVine this offseason. Think there's something brewing with him. The fact that he got COVID, again, I'm not going to question, but I'm just saying it was a little weird and like at the wildest moment, knowing that you know you could have probably battled and try to get a game in. Again, who knows? But you know, supposedly he was actually reeling for the symptoms and stuff like that, as Coach Billy Donovan had said. So, but yeah, sucks for them. And then on top of that, Lonzo needs a second opinion now on his knee.
Tough.
It's not getting better supposedly, which sucks for the man. Like, you know, I love Lonzo. When we drafted Lonzo, I was like, I'm a Lonzo stan. Like, you know what I'm saying? I love this game. Sucks to see him, you know, go down like that, and you know now he's injured even more, and they don't know what's going on. He's still feeling discomfort and stuff like that. So, yeah, the Bulls got a lot of things they got to worry about this all season, you know. But if you guys need a point guard that's durable, we have one. But anywho, just saying, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the next series.
Oh man, this one.
And we're gonna let Eric glorify this one because I'm sure he's gonna love this. I necessarily, you know, can't really. I can't root for the Celtics, but you know,
listen, it was painful.
We'll recognize.
Listen, it was painful for me rooting for the Celtics, man. But
yeah, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, the 2 seed Boston Celtics versus the 7th seed Brooklyn Nets.
See this coming.
Played in the first round. I certainly did not see this coming.
I didn't see this coming.
I think Eric might have been the only person that said that Celtics was going to win, but I think Ernest and I both said that Nets was going to win. I think Ernest said in 7, and I said in 6.
Yeah, I said Nets in 7 because I just felt like because I knew Boston was complete. I just felt that the scoring of Kyrie and Kevin Durant was going to just be too much, and I just felt at all times and throughout the fastest of the game, the Nets will have the 2 best players on the floor. You know what I'm saying? So I just went with that, and I was totally wrong, and I stand on that. Man, what a performance by the Boston Celtics! The way to come out after Game 1, where you kind of thought like, man, Boston escaped that one, right? Like after the Kyrie, like he just went berserk with that fourth quarter performance. And I it's crazy because I kind of like felt good, like all right, they lost that game off a buzzer. You know, if you look at the tape, you know, Kevin Durant, you know, kind of missed the assignment on Jason Tatum, and Kyrie should have fouled him, but he just let him go around him and lay up. Okay, it happens. Heat of the moment, you know, emotions are high and, you know, stuff like that. So I felt like, oh, okay, I think the Nets will take Game 2. Oh, was I wrong? Then I was like, you know what? When they get back to Brooklyn, that crowd, New York, and I forget, the Barclays Center ain't Madison Square Garden, man. Like I can guarantee you,
we keep telling you that.
I can guarantee you.
We know this though.
But listen, if you take the same Brooklyn Nets team and just put a Knick uniform on them, right? Just imagine that whole squad were New York Knicks, and they were going back to the Garden down 0-2 after games 1 and 2, how close they were. You mean to tell me the Nets or the Knicks wouldn't have won at least one game? They would have got one game in the Garden. I can guarantee that. So, you know, hell, RJ Barrett hit a game winner on the Celtics before they
Mhm.
started turning into world beaters. But I
Blame
didn't.
RJ for the Celtics resurrection.
I didn't expect this, so I was completely wrong on that. Shout out to the, the Celtics. Yeah, and I hope you guys don't win 18 because that's for us. But yeah, let me know your thoughts
I
on just
so,
KD's performance and
yeah,
yeah,
so that's
Ooh,
that's exactly where I was gonna go.
ooh,
because he needs
mm.
that same energy. Because if
So
that was LeBron James, this would have been all over the world. So yeah, I just got to put it out there.
that was the worst I've seen Katie play ever. I know everybody talks about Game 7 Conference Finals 2016 Thunder against the Warriors, but for a whole series, it was just crazy because Katie didn't look comfortable. Like his pull-up mid-range game wasn't there. The,
The
the,
turnovers
the
though.
turnovers, the only time, yeah, just
Dude, like the
sloppy
fact
with the
that
basketball.
there was at one point after game two he had as many turnovers as field goals
Field
made.
goals, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
was bad out there, man. Like he the only time he got buckets was at the free throw line, and we said this too that the net supporting cast they can only do so much, and they're not deep enough. Did see that the net try to insert Blake Griffin in, to kind of help it, but I mean he had little spurts and everything,
yeah,
but
he gave
Yeah,
them energy,
he
but
gave them
dude,
energy,
by
right?
his fifth,
He
he
was
was in there for
gassed.
he
5 minutes.
He
He
was
was
gassed.
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 He was
He was
gassed,
gassed.
man.
He was gassed. But I mean, and then the elephant in the room, Mr. Ben 10.
You know what? You know what? But here's the thing. Here's the thing with
Oof.
with the Ben Simmons thing, because we shouldn't pound on him like this because he clearly had a back issue. He had surgery.
Right,
You're not gonna
right,
have surgery if you're gonna lie about your back like that.
right.
That's just cap. So like,
Hmm.
yes, I blame the Brooklyn Nets
Of how to
for
handle
the
this situation.
how
Yeah.
they handled
Yep.
it because
hmm
at the end of the day, if you knew he had a back issue, this tells me you were influenced by Twitter and social
hmm
media, national
hmm
media about the Ben Simmons thing, and oh, you lost the trade. So like it's like this public pressure to put him out there, and to be like, oh, he should be back game 3. Oh no, he should be back game 4.
hmm
But if game 4 is on Monday, game 3 is on Saturday. What's the difference? It's only one day in between. What like
right.
if he couldn't play in game 3, why would you put him
Put
in
him in game
game
four.
Game
4
Yeah.
four.
when you need him actually in game 3? Because game 3 is more important than game
Game four.
4. So like it just didn't make any sense, and it's unfortunate how what's going on. Another guy to keep an eye on in the offseason is Ben Simmons. Because personally,
Mm,
I don't think he's staying in Brooklyn.
mm,
Um,
Mm.
we
mm,
I heard some
And he
things.
just had back surgery today, so
mm.
out
Yeah,
three to
he's
four
gonna be out
months.
for 3 to 4 months. I heard some things with him and possible destinations. Who knows? But we'll see. But yeah, just keep an eye on Ben Simmons though. But
I'll just finish up real quick. It was just a total shocker, man. Like we didn't expect this to get swept. Crazy.
yeah,
KD, Kyrie get swept on their
yeah,
home floor.
they gotta hold
Crazy,
that. They gotta hold that.
crazy,
They have to hold that though.
crazy,
All right,
So
crazy.
they've
so
been in
my
Brooklyn for 3 seasons, 4 seasons now. And what to show for it? One playoff
one
series.
playoff series win since they got there.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
So my take on this series is that one, the Celtic defense put KD in jail. Two, Kyrie Irving didn't show up after game one.
hmm
Uh,
Also, I think with Kyrie too, like
it,
I
he was
think
it was just a,
I think the fasting also affected him a little bit because
yeah. Oh yeah.
if you look at it right, like
Remember
game
game
one,
two?
so look, game 1 was at 3:30 Eastern, right?
He couldn't
So
eat.
if you think about the time, but think about the time he was fasting, so he can eat up until the sunrise, right?
Hmm.
So that could have been what 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time around that when the sun is rising. So he hasn't he's gonna he has less time fasting rather than
hmm
playing at a 7:30 game where he
Hmm.
didn't eat for 12 hours. Now this takes a toll a little bit. So I think what we started to see the late games, this is where he struggled. Game 2 he struggled,
Hmm.
game 3 he struggled, game 4 he was a no-show. So like it
mm
was, as the games were at night, I think it affected him because of the, he had to fast a little longer, and in the middle of the game, he has to go stop, go to the locker room and eat something at sundown. But at that point, like, it's how do you accustom all that energy and build up all that energy to actually perform when
How
you
do you
haven't been
prepare
eating
for
all
that?
day?
Right.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
the reason why I think he had a better performance in game one, only because, and again,
Afternoon game.
it's an afternoon game, and I'm not trying to be ignorant or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, the time of him fasting was a shorter time period in between from game one to the rest of the games where they were at 7:30 at night. So I think that affected his play, so to speak.
Yeah, that also came to fruition during that series. Also, one of my points. Ime Udoka ran coaching circles all over Steve Nash. Now remember,
Man.
And there's some rumblings about the Nets wanting him back next year. So remember, Udoka was on the Nets staff last year.
Well, Steve Nash got an endorsement by Kevin Durant, so I don't think he's going anywhere. At his press conference, Kevin Durant was just like, because they asked him about Steve Nash, coming back next season and whatever, and Kevin Durant was like, what he uses like the same, the LeBron and AD, what they use in the exit interviews about Frank Vogel, like, oh, he didn't have a chance to coach his team because we weren't healthy, so like Kevin Durant kind of went that route and was just like, he had to deal with a lot this season to keep this group together. And evidently, he ran into a coach who didn't have to deal with those certain situations. But again, those situations were self-inflicted, man. Like those weren't like circumstantial things that just happened out of the whim. Like those were self-inflicted things that they did to themselves.
But also, I thought that the Brooklyn Nets all season long took the regular season for granted, thinking that if we can get healthy before the playoffs, we'll turn on the switch, we'll gel.
That's not always the case.
It's not always the case. Like you need to take the regular season seriously. And the fact that they really didn't do that, they depended on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving to like help galvanize the season and into going to the playoffs as a 7 seed, and no one wants the playoffs as a 7 seed, and we could turn on the switch. And
Celtics did.
That's fine, but you're gonna find yourselves out early in the playoffs if you keep playing that game.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish. Yeah, my bad. Finish your point.
And also the I just think that during that series, Tatum and Brown was a much better duo than KD and Kyrie.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course. Here's and then after I make this point, we'll move on to the West.
And not to go trail runners, but listen, as a Knicks fan, I'm good with it. I'm very good with the sweep. So
I understand. Listen, I had a
Eric sent Spike Lee to the game.
Yeah, I sent Spike Lee to the game, that bad juju, and there you go.
Hey, listen, I know how it feels. I celebrated when the Clippers blew the 3-1 lead.
Yo, we was lit.
What? Oh my gosh! That was
because the thing is
that was totally unexpected. Because you know what's crazy? We wanted the Clippers in 2020. You know why? Because everyone had picked the Clippers, and the Clippers were like
Clippers this, Clippers that.
Yeah, and it was
wait a minute, hold on.
And then I was like, yo, just wait. And everyone went off the regular season. The first two games, the first game of the season and the Christmas game, we lost, right? In frustrating fashion. But the game before the bubble shut down,
that game in March,
LeBron had a big game against the Clippers,
and we were sending a message, right? And that same week, what did we do?
Cooking Lou Will.
And what did we do to Giannis in that same week? We beat the Bucks. Crazy. Yep. You know what I'm saying? But like, so I wanted the Clippers, so it was just like them losing that was so much satisfaction. So I understand.
Yeah.
So also not to cut you, I'm gonna add this also, but when they got to Brooklyn, they took them. Net fans took them reckless. They were talking about, we're gonna take over New York, this and that, this and Barclays and the new Mecca. Like, okay, let me see in 3 years from now. See you I come think up with something.
So here
they won one playoff series since those two guys came to the Nets.
And the crazy thing is, and then we got to move on. But I just want to make this last point. What we're seeing now is that the 3 superstar thing kind of doesn't work in this era only because you need depth now. You have a lot more taller players. The league is starving. Like you got teams starving for wing depth. Guys who are 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", that can defend, shoot, create some offense, rebound, that can kind of do everything. And you need depth, man. Like you can't sit there and allocate all your cap space to 3 guys and say, okay, the rest are just going to be marginal, minimal salary players. I'm going to make it work. It's not like that anymore, So guys are way more skilled coming into the league. The league is clearly turning over as far as the LeBrons and KDs, of the world, who kind of like the Stephs, who kind of like were the overseers of the league, so to speak. Now it's starting to change over, right? You're gonna have John Morant. You're gonna have Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum. Like you're gonna have these guys now emerge as the faces of the league.
Anthony Edwards,
Brandon Ingram,
Anthony Edwards. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Zion, you could throw him in there too. Like you're starting to see that. So teams are gonna like the way to go forward and to win is you have 2 elite guys, and then you have depth around them. I hate to say this, but the one great example of that, if you look at the Clippers, next season they're gonna be we'll talk about them during our offseason conversation and episode that we'll have in a couple months. But yeah, moving on to the Western Conference, first round matchup, the 1 and 8 seed. Woo! You had the Phoenix Suns versus the 8 seed New Orleans Pelicans, and man,
entertaining, very entertaining.
Yes, very entertaining. Did I expect the Pelicans to win? No. Did I want the Pelicans to win?
Yes.
They really tested the Suns in that series. I'll tell you that.
They did, because Booker was out. If Booker was in, it didn't matter, I think. But man, did we see the emergence of Brandon Ingram? And if CJ McCollum,
damn CJ, man,
if CJ McCollum didn't go Damian Lillard,
bait.
Like he just, I don't know what he sold.
Was selling
after game 1. He sold, man.
He's selling,
you know what I'm saying?
Jose Alvarado had to take his place. Like, come on, bro.
But we saw the emergence of Herb Jones. You know what I'm saying? Trey Murphy. I mean, if I know Trey Murphy very well because he lit the Lakers up this season. So
everybody does.
Every like no name guy you don't know that has a name now made a name against the Lakers. I'm letting you guys know. But New Orleans has a promising future. It was a good competitive series. Again, I love what I saw from Brandon Ingram. But again, as expected, the Phoenix Suns came out on top in 6 games. And yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on that first round matchup?
I wanted the Pelicans to win so bad, man. That's just like pure hatred for the Suns. But no, but to Brandon Ingram, man, Brandon Ingram really shined. And as a Laker fan, it was really
love seeing the baby legacy.
Yeah, it was really dope seeing that because I remember when he came into the league, I was like, yo, like he has the similar frame as KD, but like his jump shot wasn't there, the mid-range jump shot wasn't there. So it was like, bro, like what can you do? He was great at attacking the basket, which was crazy, for a guy who's like really, really slim. But no, but like his playoff run against the Phoenix Suns, like he was just his mid-range was just killer, man. Like you couldn't stop it. Like fadeaways, pull-up jump shots, like he was killing, man. And just to see like Jose Alvarado, like shine on a big stage like that. Somebody who I believe he was undrafted, right? And
yeah, he was undrafted.
He was on he's from New York. He's from Queens.
Yeah, from Queens.
He was on a 2-way contract, and then he finally got a guaranteed contract, right? And and he shone, and he had some playoff moments with CP when him and CP was going at it. So I just think just overall, just being in that type of setting for the Pelicans gave them a lot of confidence for the near future. Now, we don't know what Zion's going to do. Zion is talking about he might re-up and everything, but just that team alone, and they also have assets if they want to flip. But I think the Pelicans is in a great spot. And also, Valanciunas, I feel like he kind of gets overlooked, but man, he was dominant on the boards, man. Like the only way that I feel like the Suns got the edge is because he kept getting into foul trouble. And that was the thing that sucked about it because he was killing. The first game, he had 25 boards. And also I would say this, I feel like I think the Pelicans might need some more bigs like Larry Nance. For me, like a 6'9" center, it don't really cut it for me, man. You know, there's nothing against Larry Nance, but I feel like they need somebody else. Jackson Hayes, he makes bonehead mistakes and stuff like that. But anyway, just the Pelicans to be on that stage and definitely show them like, yo, like we can be here with the big dogs.
Yeah, so my thoughts on that series, Pelicans were real competitive. It could have been easy. The Pelicans could have had a 3-1 lead easily if they didn't win game 3. But Chris Paul saved them from that series going the other way. Like y'all mentioned before, Brandon Ingram, his first playoff series, he came out guns blazing and almost single-handedly took the Suns out. But Chris Paul was not letting the Suns lose a series. Booker had that injury, had that groin injury, and then
the hamstring.
The hamstring injury, and also remember before Game 6, we didn't know if he was going to come back and play that game. So the fact that he played with that injury was like kind of surprising.
I think he was actually fine. I think the Suns was like, oh, maybe we could like push it where we can beat them without you. But I think once they started seeing how competitive, they were and the games were so close, it's like, man, let's just go out there and put these guys away because you don't want to play with fire. So
also DeAndre Ayton was big in the series. He was, besides him, they were getting out rebounded by the Pelicans. So that was just that one caveat that they had.
Right.
Also the mutual respect between Willie Green, Chris Paul, and Monty Williams. Because remember, Willie Green was on the Suns staff last year when they went to the finals. So there was that little, and there was the little emotional attachment into that series. And you saw after Game 6 how Willie and Chris, they embrace each other. Him and Monty, they embrace each other. So it was a real physical, and this is what happens in these playoff series. Like you get the emotion because you don't want to lose, knowing that just you lose 4 games in the series, the season's over. So I think the Pelicans, they're gonna be on their way up. They got a bunch of young guys. And the wild card is Zion Williamson. So and also I heard that if this would have gone 7 games, he would have been able to play. So, I'm not sure.
You're not going to throw in a man at him play all year. No, I hate that stuff.
And I get that's exactly what I was about to say too.
Yeah, so
that whole sitting out for the whole year and then jumping into play, like it's kind of whack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the Ben Simmons, like the Ben Simmons in Brooklyn. It's like,
and even the Kawhi, the whole Kawhi situation. If
Kawhi was going to come back if
that's
they
whack.
had a chance. No, they're not.
Jamal Murray, like that's whack. That's whack. I'm gonna just say one real quick thing before you go ahead, Ernest. Scott Foster, where you at, man? Chris Paul can't keep getting away with this, man. Go ahead.
Oh man, Scott Foster. All right, next series, 4 or 5 matchup. We had the Dallas Mavericks versus the Utah Jazz.
Oof, golly.
Armani picked the Jazz in 5, ladies and gentlemen. He felt because Luka wasn't
you want me
there.
to go? That's
explain yourself, please.
Yeah,
explain yourself. Explain yourself.
So that's pretty much
kick it off and give your thoughts on the series.
So yeah, man, that's just pretty much the reason why I thought. I kind of underestimated the extent of Luka's injury. It's kind of like the reverse when you really think about it. I thought like that injury he had was something not to play with, So I just thought that as much as he contributes to that team, to have all of that on him, like, do you want to really risk that? So I thought Utah was going to all right, let's get him up out of here quick. But the emergence, I wouldn't really even say the emergence because Jalen Brunson was killing for like the second half of the season. He shined. He really shined. And all you just got to do is get a couple of role plays on your back. And next thing you know, you have a competitive matchup. And the issue is with the Utah Jazz, like they don't know what they want to do. Like, Conley's making some mistakes. Donovan Mitchell.
That travel to end
Yeah,
the series.
it was
Wow.
it was a tough way to go out, you know. But like for some reason, I still had hope. Like I think I called Utah in 5, right? I said Utah in
You
5.
sure did. You
Yeah,
sure
said
did.
Utah in
You did.
5.
Yeah.
Like legit, after they lost game 1, you were like, yeah, they went in 4 straight. I'm like, bro, what? What are you watching?
And then Luka came back, and I'm just like, oh, he's actually fine, you know. So I was just like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna just take that L. I'm not gonna switch up down. I'm already in hot water. It is what it is. But I'm just glad that it took this to finally, for the Utah Jazz to Utah ass to finally realize like they need to break this whole thing up. You know, like
Yeah.
the time is over. Like
I think
Rudy and Donovan, it's over. It's done.
so. This will be the first offseason. Danny Angel had full control. Dwayne Wade is back in the fold. Because he's a co-owner, or partial owner, or majority. I don't know. But he's an owner,
which is crazy.
But he should have a stake in the Miami organization. But whatever. So I do think some things will shake up. Quinn Snyder, don't know.
They said he didn't sign the extension a couple years ago.
Right, he didn't sign the extension. He's also linked to the Lakers.
He also was with us in the past too.
Yeah, he was 2012, 2013 season. When Mike Brown was the coach, he was on the sideline as well.
Goodness.
Yeah. Darvin Ham too. Once after game 1, because I had the Mavericks in 6 games. I just don't trust the Jazz in the playoffs. They're a regular season team. Because in the playoffs, the game slows down. So when the game slows down, you are forced to guard. And when you are forced to guard in the playoffs, sometimes you get exposed. And as we all know, Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Royce O'Neal to an extent, who's probably the best wing defender.
He is.
Bogdanovich, Jordan Clarkson, Daniel House, Eric Pascal, like those guys are not defenders. Again, aside from Royce O'Neal, and then you just have Rudy Gobert, who's when teams go small, he can't guard the perimeter, so he's unplayable. And you saw that with Dallas. Like Max Kleber was literally bringing him out in the paint. He was able to shoot threes, wide open shots, because Rudy Gobert either had to like guard the paint because his guards weren't guarding, or he had to get out on the three ball, and the lanes were wide open for Jalen Brunson and for Dorian Finney-Smith and for Spencer Dinwiddie, to get to the cup. So, and imagine if they had Tim Hardaway Jr. who wasn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I expected Dallas to win this series, from the beginning, and then when Luka came back, I was like, man, yeah, it's done. But yeah, this is expected for the Utah Jazz. I do expect some changes to happen. Whether big or small, there will be changes.
I got a question for y'all. So who goes first, Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell?
Rudy goes first.
No, they signed him to that $200 million contract, which at that time made no sense, and still doesn't make any sense.
I think Rudy goes first only because one, the All-Star game is going to be in Utah this coming year.
They want to keep Donovan.
They need to have an All-Star, guaranteed All-Star. Probably the guaranteed All-Star is Donovan Mitchell. And then if things don't work out, after you try to build around him after this year, maybe you say, okay, like, you ship him out somewhere else, probably to New York. That's where he wants to go anyway.
I just see.
Also, Donovan Mitchell was at the Met game earlier this week, so there was
but he's always at the Met game. He's a Met fan, so that's expected.
I would say because there's a lot of teams that's knocking on the Rudy Gobert door this offseason. So like the likely probability of Rudy being out of Utah is more likely compared to Donovan Mitchell. So
yeah.
So my take on this series, the Mavs just killed the Jazz from the 3-point line. Like the Mavericks were playing 5 out basically, and have Luka or Jalen Brunson was averaged near 30 a series, drive, kick, drive, kick, drive, layup, drive, kick. Maxi Kleber shooting threes, Finney Smith shooting threes. Once Luka came back, it got worse. I mean, Quinn Snyder couldn't even make adjustments because it's like, what do? You take out Gobert and who do you put in? Who do you put in to guard the paint? No one. So you put in Rudy Gobert. Like, he can't do two things at once. So they were in deep trouble. Since even though they won the game one, they were still in deep trouble during the series. So
and remember how we my bad. Remember how we said early in the season when the Utah Jazz picked up Hassan Whiteside, legit the same player.
He was a no-show. He was a no-show.
Exactly.
Also, another factor, Jalen Brunson. He had a big series. But then again, it's like against the Jazz team that don't defend. This series against the Suns.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the second round after we recap the first round. But yeah.
So mind you, he's a unrestricted free agent coming out. So if he
a lot of teams gonna be at the door for him. A lot of teams gonna be at the door for him.
They're talking about between 20 and 25 million for Brunson. So that's kind of a high number for me, but I see it. And plus, the kids from Villanova.
I need a point guard.
Knicks need a point guard, man.
I need a point guard.
Kids from Villanova.
Or
his dad, remember his dad.
We have a point guard for you guys, you know. Just
we sure do. We sure do.
Listen,
we sure do.
It's already a construction site at MSG, bro. It's already a construction site at MSG. Nah, bro.
Listen,
we already got one on our roster. We don't need another one, please.
If I say this, if the right trade is out there for Utah, right, and I proposed this already, the Knicks should give up Julius Randle. Should give up Emmanuel Quickly, a first round pick and a second round pick for Donovan Mitchell. Simple as that. And then you holla at Jalen Brunson and you give him the money that he wants. And because you have the cap space for it to put him and Donovan Mitchell under the cap. Knicks have the cap space for it.
Yeah, because they can renounce all those other contracts.
And their starting five should look like Mitchell Robinson at the 5. The 4 should be Obi Toppin. The 3 should be RJ Barrett. The 2 should be Donovan Mitchell, and then 1 should be Jalen Brunson. That is a legit starting 5.
Yeah, I'm taking that. I'm taking that role with
but will it happen? Probably not.
No.
Moving on to the next team. Or the next series, rather. We just did the 4-5 matchup, so now we're looking at the 3-6 matchup. And the 3-6 matchup was you have oh my God, I just drew a
Warriors and Nuggets.
Yes, the Warriors and the Denver Nuggets. Man, you know, Golden State were front runners in that series, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jokic, he literally had to do everything in order for him to get a win, or it wasn't going to happen. You know, that series ended abruptly. You know, everyone kind of expected Golden State to win this series pretty handedly. Will Barton is, I mean, bro, what? Like, Aaron Gordon, like, oof. Listen, Denver's another team. Like, people talk about, Denver's going to be so legit next year when they get Jamal Murray and MPJ back. No, they're not, because they're going to have Aaron Gordon and they're going to have Will Barton on the court at the same time as those guys. And Will Barton thinks he's Kobe. Like, it's insane to me. Like, his offense bothers me so much. It's crazy. It's crazy. But Jokic, you know, Jokic played phenomenal as much as he could have.
We knew that.
It was just too much. It was just too much of the Warriors. Jordan Poole, like, my God. They had Steph Curry come off the bench, y'all. Like, come on, man. Think about that. And they didn't do it for 1 game.
He did it for 3 games.
You see what I'm saying? Like, come on.
I mean, I feel like the Warriors are just playing with their food. Like, you know, like Steve Kerr was just trying to get an idea of like what different matchups and lineups he can do. Because if I'm not mistaken, and we could get to that, but the first game against the Grizzlies in the second round, didn't Clay come off the bench? Or I'm bugging? Or
I don't think so.
Clay
Nah.
started, right?
He
Okay.
started. Yeah, he started.
Okay. But just their depth lineup, their center is a 6'8" dude, Draymond Green. And I mean, it wasn't going to contain Jokic, but the fact that they still were able to function,
But
even
he
with
played good defense on Jokic,
right,
though.
and even with the Nuggets, swapping out Boogie and Jokic, like
And shout out to Boogie
it
because he
still
had
was
some
no
flashes,
give.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
Of he still got it in the tank, and I think he's still serviceable in the league. Yeah, I think he should be picked up. I hope he gets picked up in the offseason by a team that needs some instant offense or a big that can kind of stretch the floor and score in spurts.
It just sucks how the refs got it out for him. I don't know what it is, but at this point, like he said, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's getting ridiculous.
It's getting ridiculous. But yeah, just my take on it. Like, man, Jordan Poole is crazy. He didn't win Most Improved. I find that just really.
It was that made no sense. Like
John Morant, a number 2 pick has no. Like, you don't put a number 2 pick in Most Improved. You're expected to improve, brother.
That's like Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram won Most Improved.
Brandon Ingram, he did win Most Improved. He did.
Yeah.
But I feel like his emergence was a little bit different because his expectation, like,
it was
he didn't live up to the expectation.
Right, exactly.
Then LeBron came, and then it was like, yeah, okay, forget about your development because we need to win now. So,
Yeah, but I mean, just the Warriors just came out and just handled business straight up.
Yeah,
that's it.
So my notes on this series, like I mentioned this before, last episode, and our player preview that the Warriors are going to use this series as a springboard. There we go. They use that series as a springboard. They tinker around with the lineups, having Steph Curry come off the bench, averaging 26 a series, which is unheard of.
Man. That's not fair,
that's absurd. I mean, and then and the top of Jordan Poole averaged like near 30 points, 30 a series.
3 max players on that roster. 3.
And basically, it was like Jokic had to do everything, and he dropped even. Did he drop 40 in did he drop 40 in one of the games in the series? I could have sworn he did.
I think he did. He did.
Yeah. It's like Jokic had to do everything and still couldn't only come up with one win in the series. So, I mean, it wasn't shocking for us to see the Warriors win the series in 5. I mean, Aaron Gordon was a no-show. Will Barton, another no-show. So, if Nuggets really think that they can compete in the West, we're coming back with Murray, Porter Jr.
They need more.
Their championship window is closing fast.
They need more. I mean,
they're like right behind Utah on the championship window.
They're on that cusp of that second to third tier in the West.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're going to have to like really assess their roster if they want to really compete, because next year the Western Conference is even more deeper, man.
You know what's crazy? Like, everyone talks about how good the East is this year. The West next year is going to be a bloodbath. Like, seriously, like, I'm not even like, look at, all right, you're going to have Phoenix still there. You're going to have Golden State still there. You're going to have Memphis still there. You're going to have the rise of the Pelicans and the Timberwolves. The Lakers will certainly be back. The Clippers will certainly be back. Like, that's 7 teams already. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't mention Dallas. I didn't mention even Utah to an extent, depending on what they do.
And whatever the Timberwolves do. San Antonio?
Like, right. There's going to be things that are going to happen. So, but yeah, the Warriors took care of that in quick fashion as expected. Moving on to the next series, which was probably the most confusing, head-scratching, dumbest series I've ever experienced and watched as far as basketball IQ. From coaching and from players. We in Minnesota now. The number 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies.
We in Minnesota now.
Against the number 7 seed Minnesota Timberwolves.
We in Minnesota now. Bro.
They blew 3 games. 1 game twice in the same game. They blew 3 20 point digit leads in 3 different games. And in one game, they did it twice.
So here
They
we
did it
are.
twice.
We're at
I
that
mean,
point.
this Charles Barkley said it too. This got to be the most dumbest team I've ever seen play. Because like listen, they're exciting to watch. They're a hungry bunch of young guys. Jared Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like him. Man, if we could get him on the Lakers, geez, like that guy is really good. Because get him away from the stupidity that is brewing in Minnesota.
Get him away from Pat Beverly.
Okay, I'm glad you brought his name up because I remember when he told Steph, like, he said,
you got the last 5 years. I got the next 5 years when they got Kawhi, and in 2 years' time, his ass is in Minnesota.
Right, and now look, Ja Morant, right, and Curry is still on top, right? Similar to the whole.
Did you see his tweet last night or the other night?
He's like he didn't have 47, but it's like, dude, you blew 3 20-point leads in 3 separate games, and you did it twice in one game. Like, you should have been playing Game 3 on Saturday, bro. Like you should have been playing Game 3 on Saturday,
right?
In the second round. But I mean, shout out to the Memphis Grizzlies who stayed resilient. I felt the Memphis was going to win that series. I thought it was going to go 7. It should have went 7. Considering what happened in Game 6. Again, but John Morant has been special this whole playoffs. He struggled. He struggled against Minnesota because if people don't understand, it's about matchups, right? Like, I did say that the Warriors were going to treat Memphis because I felt the inexperience the Warriors had. But, like, I also had to take a look back and say, wait, man, like, look at the matchup problems. The reason why John Morant didn't have a great series because the length of Minnesota bothered him. Look at what he's doing now against Golden State. When they're playing smaller, he's getting whatever he wants. So, like, man, Minnesota's so stupid, man. Like, geez. Like, they legit had that series. Carl Anthony Towns with the dumb shot selections. Game 6? They're down by 2, I believe. About like a minute something left. He comes down
and chucked the 3,
and he just chucks a pull up 3. Then the next 2 possessions. After the next one, he comes down and shoots a sidestep fadeaway jump shot with like 19 seconds left on the shot clock. Like, bro, what is going on? So, they have a lot of growing up to do. I can tell you this though, Anthony Edwards he's here. And I can tell you for sure, he ain't gonna take that stupidity much longer.
Can we just talk about?
He's a guy who wants to win at all costs. You can see it. He has it in him. I gotta give Perk his flowers because Kendrick Perkins did say he reminds me he got some Jordan-esque in him, and people like kind of like went crazy because obviously it's Jordan. But you look at Anthony Edwards, not that he looked like MJ when he was younger, but like you kind of see it. It's kind of there, if he fine tunes it and takes that trajectory. But kudos to Memphis for not being the dumbest team, because they also made some dumb decisions in that series. But Memphis won honestly at the fault of
Wolves
stupidity. That's not to take credit for Memphis, but let's keep it real.
Right. So let me ask you guys a question. What's up with D'Lo?
He gotta go. He gotta go.
It's not a good fit for him, bro.
Okay.
The fact that Anthony Edwards is emergent, it's literally took. If you look at that playing game against the Clippers when him and Edwards like literally saved the Timberwolves. Now it's like, is it a good fit with D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards?
I would say watch out between Dallas and Minnesota. You could see a scenario when there's a signing trade between Jalen Brunson and D'Angelo Russell. You put Jalen Brunson on that Timberwolves team with Anthony Edwards. I'm telling you right now.
Ooh,
Minnesota.
yeah, okay,
Minnesota.
yeah.
Listen,
That
man.
now you
Now
cooking with
you're cooking
grease.
with something.
Now
Yeah.
you're cooking with something.
Now you're cooking with something. So, but
Okay.
Amani,
And I
what are your
think,
thoughts? Oh no,
uh-huh.
go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry. Wasn't
And
done.
I think the T-Wolves they need a point guard because
Yeah.
Yeah.
you saw it in that series. It's like if they had a legit point guard, they don't make those dumb decisions
Mhm.
in those games. They
Not
don't
for
blow.
nothing. Honestly, you put Chris Paul as a point guard, they're going to the
Oh
conference
yeah, they're going to
finals.
the conference finals.
Seriously, like
Mhm.
look at that team, look at that makeup with the wings that they have. Um, I'm sure he could get cat in line. And listen, Jimmy Butler was right. That's all I'm gonna say. Jimmy Butler was right when it came to Minnesota and Karl Anthony Towns. Because and Draymond Green also said it. Like, dude, like you don't talk this way. You're
Mhm.
not like this. All of when Russ shot the air ball, you doing all this, looking up and like, you know what I'm saying? You telling people, well, we in Minnesota now. They ain't talking all that, bro. You shooting a 3, 8 minutes left in the game. You
Hit
going up 15, and
hit the side of the backboard.
no, the shush.
Oh,
After the
oh,
shush,
Mhm.
John
oh
Morant goes on a
yeah,
13-0
yeah.
run
Right,
by
yeah,
himself.
yeah,
Like, come on, like you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that was
Like,
in Game 5.
yeah,
yes, exactly. Like, dude, like, what do you stop? Just
yeah,
stop. It's not
yeah.
you. Like
Mhm.
the whole, when he was screaming when he was, dominating AD that one game and all, like, bro, that's not you.
Mhm.
Like, cut it out, cut it out. You know what I'm saying? But listen, that is at the detriment of Minnesota. That's why Memphis won.
They're just young and dumb.
Yeah, young and dumb. Now we
Yeah.
move on to the semifinals, round two, the NBA playoffs. And since we was in the West, we're going to stick in the West. So you had the Phoenix Suns who advanced, as we discussed. And Dallas Mavericks have also advanced, as we discussed. And I personally picked the Mavericks to win in 7. And boy, oh boy, am I wrong. Um, I have to admit, again, there was some bias in this conversation in this pick that I had.
For me,
Uh,
I'm gonna just say this real quick. It's 100% bias for me, man.
I
Scott
at
Foster,
first
where you at?
I thought Luca would be Luca has been a matchup
Game
nightmare for them. He's
game
getting
one, he
whatever
dropped
he's want.
45.
It's the
Yeah,
rest of them.
he's
It's
gonna
everybody
average
else.
he's gonna average damn near 40 in this series because he's gonna get whatever he wants. No one on Phoenix can guard that man. But what Monty Williams and the Phoenix Suns are doing are saying, Luca, get whatever you want. We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Hmm.
we know we could shut the other guys down because the other guys can't get their own shot. The other guys don't really do anything
Mm-hmm.
except for one guy, and that's Jalen Brunson. But Jalen Brunson is undersized. So
Hmm.
what they do is they always switch. If you see, it's either Mikal Bridges,
Mm-hmm.
Jay Crowder, or they never
It's
put Chris
those
Paul on him.
wings. It's those
Yep. They
wings.
Cam Johnson, you know what I'm saying? They put the wings on him, Torrey Craig. And it gets bothersome. And you see that Luka is getting whatever he wants, but he can't get any support from the rest of the guys because they're getting clamped. The Mavericks will have to make some adjustments very soon. And I believe in Jason Kidd. I think they'll get one at the very least in Dallas. I think they win tomorrow. But we'll see. My prediction now that I'm off the Dallas bandwagon will be Suns in 5.
Yeah, I think the
Hmm.
Suns finish it pretty quickly, but it was no surprise that it was going to come down to this for the Dallas Mavericks because they rely heavily on ISO ball. That was my big concern in the Jazz series. Like, all right, you got Luka coming back from this injury. You asked him to do so much. Like, we don't want to have him risk another like injury, like what we seen with Kevin Durant in the
Mhm.
finals a couple years ago. But in this situation, like I was watching the game last night, Luka's just doing everything. Step back three against Bismack Biyombo, and it's just like they're just like literally waiting for
Did you see
Luka.
that ISO play where he crosses up Cam Johnson,
Yeah,
hit him with a hit,
Hmm.
a- hit him with a
yeah.
1-2,
What
then hit the half
a
spin
shimmy? Yeah,
shimmy, was a half
hmm
spin shimmy, and then like
and a
a fake,
layup.
and then get
Yeah,
the and one. I was like, yo, footwork
yeah.
is impeccable, but he can't get nothing from anyone else.
And right, and just also on the defensive end too. Like, there
Yeah,
was a play that I seen on Bleacher Report where Devin Booker was just like just hitting the ones and twos on Luka, and he just walked right past him. And I put in the comment section like, "Yo, Luka got terrible defense. If he want to defend him, well, Luka's not known as a defender. What? But still, so what? Like,
Right.
why is Luka? Why is Luka hands down? You know what I mean? But just Phoenix, so I noticed something that Phoenix always does, right? And it's like it's kind of crazy because I don't really see it from any other team, but Phoenix builds a wall, like, you know what I mean? Especially for like ISO plays. They did against us last year as well too. But no matter what side the ball is
remember,
on,
they did that last year when AD was out, because they knew LeBron shut everyone else down, and then when LeBron's gonna try to get to the rim, and then he's gonna be facing four hands.
So to your point, exactly what you were saying, they will let everybody, they'll let Luka get whatever he want, but everybody else is kind of like, all right, you make it, you miss. But Luka's
gonna have to beat us with Dorian Finney-Smith is gonna have to beat us.
Right.
The White Powell's gonna have to beat us.
Right.
Max Kleber's gonna have to beat us.
Exactly.
It's not,
Luka's not gonna score every single time off of straight ISOs. So if you look at it, you got four people just in the paint, just looking at the ball, just looking at Luka. And once Luka make that play, he miss, down the other way. You know,
because they also can't defend. So what they can defend, because let's give credit to Jason Kidd, but at the same time, man, like it's a matchup problem for them. That's why it's hard for them to defend.
Yeah, and I just think that, like you said, they're just undersized. When you have Dwight Powell, and there it goes, that whole 6'9" power forward being a center type thing, going up against a 7-foot center as DeAndre Ayton, who's more than just a dunk the ball guy. He's facing up, hitting jump shots and stuff like that. Then on top of that, you got JaVale McGee coming off the bench. So how can you compete with that? I think that's their only big. And then you got Bertans. They inserted him in the lineup, but he can only do so much.
He can only do so much. Reject, man.
You know what I mean? So that's it right there. But I mean, I hate to say it, but Suns cleaning this up. But Scott Foster, where you at, bro?
So my thoughts on this series, Suns are dominating this series, like the size, the length. They're just killing everyone and let Luka like score all the points and force him to be a playmaker at the same time. You can't do that in a playoff series. Also, last night's game, if you remember, it was a close game, like mid fourth quarter, and then the Suns went on that big run to end the game.
They blew out the game.
Yeah. So it's still got Chris Paul. He came up big fourth quarter again. Devin Booker had another big game last night. I mean, like
Ayton only had 9 points, man.
Yeah,
think about that. So yeah, it's pretty much
over
for Dallas.
I still like the Suns getting a split in Dallas and come home winning in 5 and back in the conference finals again. And
the worst nightmare.
I know it's painful for y'all. I know it's painful.
The worst nightmare is Suns and Warriors in the Western Conference Finals.
We're gonna get that.
Which probably might happen. As we segue into that next series, you have the Golden State Warriors, the number 3 seed. With all due respect, let me reverse that. You have the Memphis Grizzlies, who are the number 2 seed, versus the number 3 seed Golden State Warriors. Series is tied 1-1.
Interesting series here.
It's very physical. Memphis is not scared of Golden State. I think the key for Golden State to win this series is Jonathan Kuminga.
He was a spurt in that Nuggets series.
If you watch Jonathan Kuminga, he does what Memphis is trying to do, right? Get out and run to young guys who are
does he remind you a little bit of Iggy?
That's what I was about to say. He is the younger athletic version of what Iggy is now. I think
they play the same way, which is crazy.
Right. They need to insert him a little bit more. Golden State,
also,
I do feel like
Jr.
Yeah, I do feel like they're in trouble. But I'm still going to take Golden State to win this series in 6 games because of the experience. I understand the matchup and how John Morant, it's easier for him to get to the bucket because his There's no bigs, in the paint. Can't
Mm-hmm.
play Kevon Looney. He's too slow-footed. It's very physical, in this series, which is I think is what Memphis wants, because what happens is that Draymond Green gets into altercations and he's short-tempered and stuff like that, and so like it plays to their advantage. So Dylan Brooks will be suspended for Game 3 for the wind up and hit over the head onto Gary Payton Jr. Or the
Thoughts on
second.
that real quick. What you guys think? Right call, bad call?
Was it a flagrant 2? Yes.
But does he deserve to be suspended?
Does he deserve to be suspended?
No.
No, but I see why
You see
he got
why
suspended.
the letter of the law says, okay, you got to suspend him because of that.
Because of the severity of the injury. I think if Gary Payton didn't get injured at all, if he just took the hit and got up, shot the free throws, everything was fine, I don't think he gets suspended. He just gets a hefty fine and move on. But because of the injury, and the Golden State Warriors clearly were pressing that, clearly, Steve Kerr at press conference was pressing it.
He was
so
please, man.
like he has to read the room, and he's very tone deaf. For you to be like, oh, he broke the code and things of that nature, and like, dude, you have a player who does that all the time on your roster.
Right.
Needless to say, I got Golden State winning this series in 6 games. As much as I would hate to see Phoenix and Golden State in the Western Conference Finals, it is what it is. I think that's what's going to happen. I hope Memphis, proves me wrong, but I just think overall, listen, Game 1, right? Ja missed it by a layup, right? He missed the layup. Game 2, they just flat out took the Warriors out the game in the fourth quarter. It's something about Memphis, man, that they may have a chance to win this series. But I'm gonna stick with my experience take and gonna go with Golden State in 6.
So here's the thing with Memphis. Memphis has the edge over Golden State because of the bigs. When is Steven Adams coming back?
So
right?
Steven Adams was seen today at practice.
Okay.
So maybe by Saturday he's
Right.
back and they insert him back in the lineup. It's just going to be really difficult to play him when they go small,
right?
Because
right.
when the minute they put the lineup of Draymond, Wiggins, Poole, Clay, and Steph, Adams is getting killed.
Play him.
So
you cannot play him and put that lineup.
So all right. So I was gonna kind of like format this like issues and stuff like that, but whatever. I'll just lay it on the table. The bigs for Memphis has been really helpful. Brandon Clark
has been a beast.
Zaire
Jerry
Williams.
Jackson Jr. is finally playing.
Foul trouble.
Well, he gets into foul trouble so much, man.
Foul trouble, bro.
Did you know? So, listen, you can get. So, all right, there's 6 fouls in the game, right? There's 7. So the most fouls you can get, right? Right? 6, 12, 18, 24, 36, 42, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? Did I count that right?
Yeah.
Right. So he's had 30, I believe, 9 fouls in the first round alone.
Bro,
like think about
what are you doing?
39 fouls?
Yes.
Wow.
So again,
I could be wrong. Don't quote me. But it's around that number. Of the many fouls he had in the first. He had as many fouls as you could possibly have, like near the threshold of getting nearly fouled out in every single game.
I would say that. So the bigs has been really helpful. Jaren Jackson got to stay out of foul trouble. D'Anthony Melton came up with some huge defensive plays in game 2. 2 blocks. I thought that was pretty clutch for the Memphis Grizzlies. And I'll say the number one thing that concerns me, if I don't see Memphis winning the series because I don't see the Warriors collapsing. I don't see them doing that. Also, I will say this: John Morant, the jump, because they're sagging off of him. They're like, all right, whatever, bro. You're gonna have to come to the paint, but they're leaving him to shoot the jump shot. If they want to win, he got to knock that down, straight up.
Yeah, and I just want to my mistake because I certainly can't do math. I meant to say 42, not 49. But yeah, it's if in a 7-game series,
That's even worse.
the most fouls you can get. If you foul out for every game, 42. He had 37. Think about that. He had 37.
Mm-hmm. But I would love for it to go to Game 7. I'll say probably Warriors in 7 with a Grizzlies collapse.
So with this series going on, it's gotten real physical. You're starting to see a little chippiness between those two teams. Especially if, of course, we had Draymond in the playoff series, you know, to get a little bit physical, a little bit chippy. So you're gonna get that.
Put him and Steven Adams on the court together. Oh man,
yeah, it's gonna be Russian. It's gonna be like WrestleMania. So so John Morant is having a big series. He's averaging near 40. Yeah, averaging like near 40 points a series. Had a big 47-point game last night, game 2. Also remember, Warriors won the Grizzlies won the game last night by 5 points. So
I know where you're going.
Ja has to put on generational performances for them to win.
And also
Clay and Steph went 16 for 41 from the field. If they make at least, if
they make 2 threes apiece, they win the game.
They win that game easy.
Right.
It's the
they have 2-0.
It should be 2-0 Warriors. That's how close the series is. It could be 2-0 Grizzlies, 2-0 Warriors, but it's 1-1. I believe Game 3 is going to be the most important game in the series.
Bro, the Chase Center is going to be, man.
And I think
Warrior fans is nasty, bro.
Yeah. And also, I think the way that how the series is playing out, Game 3 of this series is going to be the most important game in the series. I just think that the momentum and the way the games will be officiated throughout this whole series, the winner of this game is going to have clear advantage of how this series is going to be won. I just like the Warriors more because of I just like the Warriors a little bit more because of the experience. But it wouldn't shock me if the Grizzlies take these next 2 games in out in San Francisco. Because
my thing is
also the Ja Morant factor is there. I mean, he can go off for 40 or 50 points in a game and steal a game in a series. But also you still got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson who can bust out at slumps easily. So
I don't necessarily think that the most important game is Game 3 because both games have been so close. I still think it'll go down the stretch down, to whenever the conclusion of the series is going to be. Again, Steph and Clay are not going to struggle from the field like that. At least I don't think, especially at home. I don't think we'll see that. But I do think if Golden State wins Game 3, Memphis could come back and win Game 4. Like I don't necessarily think the winner of Game 3 will take control. Because again, there's something about Memphis that keeps fighting, and they're young, and those guys get up and down the court. And it's gonna be on Steph, Clay, and Jordan Poole to really pull this out for them to win, offensively, in order for them to be successful. Because if the game is close, you're playing a dangerous game with Memphis because John Morant, as you said, Eric, he's a factor, but he's a clutch factor. Like he is very clutch, you can tell. So I would pump the brakes on the Game 3 prediction. I just think the series is too close to be like after Game 3, this said team is going to have total control of the series.
Also, I think the free throw line is going to be a huge factor in this series because the Grizzlies have been known for missing a lot of free throws late in games. So that could be it's going to be a real factor going forward in this series, I think.
Yeah, I'm just mad. Game 3 is already until Saturday. That makes no sense. But
both series and the Celtics and the Bucks series is Saturday also.
Yeah, I know. It makes no sense. Anyway, speaking of Bucks, we're gonna move on to the East now. Miami Heat versus the Philadelphia 76ers, man. I Joel Embiid has been ruled out for game 3 tomorrow. I know, Philly is going to be on fire, but there was no chance. Yeah. There is. Here's the thing, right? Like, it was reported that Joel Embiid's even having trouble like looking at his phone, like
Yeah,
at the light
that's
of his
crazy.
phone. So you mean to tell me he gonna walk into an arena that's billions of lights shining on him? He's gonna be just fine? No, I think he's done I think he's actually done for the series, done for the year, unless they somehow win this series and then the conference finals. But I don't see Ben Simmons. Wow, I don't see Joel Embiid coming back at all in this series. James Harden is not James Harden that we've known in Houston. We have to understand that and realize, come to terms with this is a new James Harden, and he is not a max guy. He is not the second best guy on the team. It
You're
is
not
actually
that guy,
Tyrese.
pal. You're not that guy.
Yeah, you're not that guy. I just think it's Tyrese Maxey is the second best player on this team now, and that's saying a lot. They don't have the defensive prowess to keep up with, Miami. I personally believe if Joel Embiid was actually healthy and playing, they would have split the 2 games in Miami. But unfortunately, again, I'm just going with the premise of Joel Embiid not being there. They have no shot. It is clear. They get whatever they want. If you look at games 1 and 2, game 1, you know what I'm saying? Philly comes out and they go up by halftime. They're up a good 10-point lead. And I'm like, oh, okay, But when I look at the box score, I'm like, there's one person that's still struggling, and that's James Harden. And I'm like, they won't be able to get past them without him playing at an elite level that we've known him to be in Houston, even Brooklyn to a certain degree when he first got there. But he hasn't been the same since. And they won't prevail without him being that guy, and they need Joel Embiid desperately. I predict they'll lose tomorrow night, and that'll be it. And they'll go on and a part of me wants to say sweep, but also a part of me is like they can get one. I'm always going to give a team benefit of the doubt. They're going to get one, and I say the Heat in 5.
Eric, go ahead. This is my point. Go ahead. This is my point.
So
get him out of here.
I agree with Ernest. It's a 5-game series, quick and painless. With James Harden as your leading guy, they have no shot at winning this series. I'm sorry. Tyrese Maxey can do all he can. Tobias Harris.
Here's a crazy stat. Bam Adebayo, and this is a small sample, but Bam Adebayo is shooting 90% from the field.
Yeah, I saw
when
that
he's
stat.
guarded by DeAndre Jordan.
And why is he playing this
series?
That's why
Doc Rivers proceeded to say, I don't care what people think. I don't care how upset you are. We are playing DeAndre Jordan in this series.
And this is why
you cannot play DeAndre bum. Oh my God. You guys.
So wait.
We experienced DeAndre Jordan firsthand for the first 20 games. We played DeAndre Jordan for the first 20 games of the year.
Did you guys see?
It was a disaster.
Did you guys see that picture on Twitter? It's like some random guy. He's at the Heat game and like he's in front of
cooking up nothing.
2 games straight. He was just with a different jersey.
Yo, it's man. Listen,
yo,
DeAndre Jordan,
Sean, that's your mans, yo.
Yeah. But DeAndre Jordan has no business playing in the series. Like, what? Just play Reed and just live with it, man.
Yeah,
like,
just play him in this series.
Because oh my gosh, he is so bad. Like he is terrible.
And this is why you got the comparison of Doc Rivers and Tom Thibodeau. They can get out of their own ways. So
that series is done. Now move on to the most intriguing series aside from. It's crazy how the 3-2 matchups, like the 2-7 matchups in the East and West were like the most intriguing, right? Because you have Minnesota and Memphis and Brooklyn and Boston. And then now it kind of repeats itself with the series of the 3-2 matchup. So the Warriors in Memphis and the Celtics and the Bucks. Now it gets really interesting with this series. Series is tied 1-1. They play Saturday, game 3 in Milwaukee. Still no Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton has been ruled out so far, I believe,
It's someone
throughout
Marcus
this
Smart.
series. The Marcus Smart is trying
He's
to
trying to. I heard he's trying.
get to game
He's
3.
to go for game 3.
He may be a go. Most of the time, when you hear that they're trying, it's playoff time. It's like you gotta do what you gotta do. Man, this is tough for me because on one hand, I look at the Celtics and I look at that game 2, and I say, man, they played phenomenal basketball. Defensively, Giannis didn't know what to do. He was struggling. He came out the first half. He was 1 for 10 from the first half, bro. 1 for 10. And I'm looking at the offense, and I'm like, bro, y'all can't get anything in the paint. Y'all can't make jumpers. Y'all can't do like it looked really bad. It looked like they needed a Chris Middleton guy to create their own offense to kind of get it going. But I look at the shot chart, and I'm going to pull this up, and I say, this looks weird. And it just, I don't know if this will be repeated again because this is a guy who's not really known to kind of have these games. So if you look at the Celtics stat line, Jason Tatum had 29 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds. That's typical.
Mm-hmm.
But on the line, and I see, Jaylen Brown, 30 points.
He played out of his mind in game 2.
6 assists. That's the key. I don't believe Jaylen Brown is doing that again.
His hamstring injury started to catch up with him.
Yeah.
Like, it was lingering. Mm-hmm.
Then I see Grant Williams with 21 points.
Mm-hmm.
I can pretty much guarantee we're not going to see the same performance from Jaylen Brown and Grant Williams the rest of this series.
No.
Which brings me to my conclusion of how this series is going to go. I still have the Bucks winning, as I predicted. I have the Bucks winning this series in 7 games. Giannis will find a way to get it done. Giannis, I don't think he'll struggle. I don't think Drew Holiday will struggle like he did in game 3. Giannis had 20. Again, it's 2 games back to back. Game 1 and game 2, Giannis struggled from the field. And you know what I'm saying? And he had 28, 9, and 7 in game 2. Right? Bobby Portis put in with 13 points. Drew Holiday, 19 points. Here's where the issue lies for me, where they need to get him more involved, and that's Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez only had 2 points. You're not going to win if Brook Lopez has 2 points. So, Boston is good, but I think Boston will evidently lose this series in 7 games to the Milwaukee Bucks. I just think Milwaukee won't repeat the same mistakes as they did in game 2. They'll look at that film and I think they'll get better and bounce back.
I have screw Boston. I got Milwaukee and straight up. I got Milwaukee in 6. I think Giannis smells blood. When he gets that upper hand, we all seen Giannis on go mode, and it's different. It's like a different energy, and also you got that championship pedigree. And to Ernest's point, what he said earlier, even though the role players for the Milwaukee Bucks was struggling, Grayson Allen has been struggling. They got that championship pedigree, you know what I mean? And they're going back to Milwaukee. They fans gonna be going crazy. So I just think they finish it in 6. And
they did. If you think about it, they did what they were supposed to do. They got the split.
And right.
Yeah, they got the split.
And the way, just watching that game, Celtics and the Bucks, the Celtics could not miss. I'm like, man, Grant Williams hit this, Jaylen Brown hit that. He's unconscious from the 3.
Al Horford looking like the all-star,
right?
Back in Atlanta.
I'm like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? And then Giannis is struggling, And then they try to make a little comeback, like a little run, because Boston, they started to get a little stagnant. So we don't know about Marcus. Well, you guys just told the whole Marcus Smart story, and then also Jaylen Brown. What's up with his hamstring? Because man was playing out of his mind. But then it was like, all right, come back to earth. So I think Bucks finish it in 6. Bucks in 6, like they say.
So I see this series going to, and I like the Bucks win it in Boston in Game 7. So I know that's going to be a tall task, but I
Mhm.
think the only team that can like really pull that feet off is the Bucks, because you just got that factor of Giannis. And I know that you're saying that Chris Middleton's going to be out for the series, but don't you think that if it goes to the full 7 games, if there's a Game 7, there's like a remote possibility he comes back?
I don't no, I don't think he comes back. They ruled him out for like 3-4 weeks.
That's
So
true.
I
Well,
don't
he
think,
got he
and
got
he
injured
hasn't
in
he,
game
he,
game
his
two,
first
right? Against the
yeah, and he didn't
he
even
got
get his
injured game
first
two against
evaluation.
the Nets, right? So
Right, and he didn't get his first evaluation yet. So
right.
you got to
So
see, the evaluation after the time off, and then they'll give a
yeah,
timeline or he'll be back. Yeah,
Mm.
I don't. So I
yeah.
don't think
I
he'll. I think
yeah. I
so.
was just thinking, because I was just thinking like if there's an inkling in that, but I could see why that he had to clear that threshold if it gets to Game 7, which is on that the Sunday the 15th. So
Yeah,
I just think these teams will go back and forth defensively, and it's going to be one of those rock 'em, sock 'em out series that
Exactly.
each team to take one, and alternate wins. Um, I think the key factor will be the others. Talking about the Celtics, you got Peyton Pritchard, you got Marcus Smart. If he gets back healthy in this series, Grant Williams, Al Horford, and the rest of the crew versus the Drew Holidays, the Bobby Portises, and the Grayson Allens and the Pat Connaughtons and
Brook Lopez.
the Brook Lopez. Like what others is going to step up big and take control of the series. We saw in Game 1, Giannis dominated, had a triple double in that game, but also Drew Holiday stepped up big in place of Chris Middleton. Game 2, Celtics did the opposite. Jaylen Brown, Grant Williams stepped big. So now it's going to be depending on which 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 other others are going to step up in this series. And I just like the Bucks more. Plus, they have the championship medal from last year, so they know how it is to win these type of games
Mhm.
on the road. These in a tough physical environment. They won in Phoenix last year in Game 5 for the
Mhm.
finals. Let's not forget that. So they know what it takes to win these type of games close the road in the highly contested playoff environment. So I like the Bucks to win in 7 and to get back to the conference finals.
yeah, yeah. So and we got to wrap up soon. To conclude, our playoff prediction for the second round, we have. I think we all agree we have the Suns versus the Warriors, and the Heat versus the Bucks. And hopefully we get to see those matchups, and it'll be very intriguing. And we'll discuss, after the second round, what the conference finals are going to look like. Because
Mhm.
boy, that's going to be a storyline. But
Mhm.
before we end it, we got to get into NBA news. Obviously, as we know, the Lakers always in the news. Jeez, I tried not to talk about them, but man, it just pops up. But over the course of this week, we've heard so many things about the coaching carousel. Darvin Ham, the Lakers had asked Milwaukee Bucks for permission to interview, which they have gotten granted. Um, Adrian Griffin, assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors, which again, another good look. You've heard the Lakers are serious about going after Quinn Snyder as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
And
and
here's an interesting. Well, go ahead.
and you now we
The
throw in
Zen Master.
the Zen Master as the person who is going to be an advisor, I believe.
Mhm.
He has the ear of
Mhm.
Genie Bus. I believe him and Kurt Rambis and Rob Pelinka are going to be the three persons that select the new head coach for the Lakers. We'll see what happens. Personally, for me, I think Darvin Ham is the choice. A guy who's been around in the league for over a decade as an assistant coach, has played in the league, with a veteran team. The key part about this whole thing is that the Lakers have always said, well, not always, but Rob Pelinka has said in the offseason during his exit interview that the Lakers they need a voice. They're looking for a voice. So we can't get caught up in X's and O's, and you know, certain intangibles and tendencies that the coaches have. They want a leader. They want a guy that could come in. They understand it's probably going to be a veteran roster again next year, but not too old. I hope not. Russ may be still on the roster, and you gotta have a coach that's going to be able to galvanize and get the ear of these players and veteran guys, and the veteran guys have to respect them.
Mhm.
So I like the Darvingham choice. He fits in the mold of the new up and coming coaches and assistants like Willie Green, Monty Williams, JB Bickerstaff. You got those coaches who are able to who want to or get respected by the players because they also played the game, but they also understand it. You can even throw Rondo in there. I think Rondo would be considered as a good assistant or a head coach. Not a head coach yet, but a good assistant coach in the league. Listen, to get all upset about Phil Jackson being involved is nothing new. Phil Jackson's always been involved. People forget Phil Jackson was after the trade deadline. Phil Jackson was at the games.
Mhm.
That wasn't just a coincidence. He just, let me just go to Laker games. I've been retired all this time. No, he's been called in to have these conversations. Yes, people may get upset because the history between him and LeBron, and him calling LeBron's friends a posse, and that had a slight racial undertone under it. But I'm not trying to defend Phil Jackson, but Phil Jackson does have a soft spot in the Lakers lore,
Mhm.
right? Like he is the guy who took Kobe and Shaq, came back again, him and Kobe, after a falling out they had, and repaired that relationship to win 2 more championships and 3 finals appearances. He's synonymous with Laker Nation, Laker faithful. So,
Mhm.
listen, we understand it, we get it. We get the sabotage he's done in New York, and the coaching selections that he's had. And it's crazy because think about this.
He's a war
Mike,
criminal.
after Mike
War
Woodson,
criminal.
after Mike Woodson took the Knicks to the playoffs, to the second round, after it might have been over 10 years. Over 10
Demolition.
years. He took them to the first round he took them out, took them to the second round
Mhm.
for the first time in over 10 years. And the following season, Phil Jackson fired him. Then he proceeded to hire
Derek
Derek
Fisher.
Fisher.
Didn't he win
Then
coach of the year that year? Mike Woodson?
Woodson?
Yes.
No, I don't think
No,
he
so.
I
didn't.
I don't
think
think
it's
No.
so.
somebody else.
That was oh my gosh.
Thinking of
That
somebody
was
else.
Dwayne Casey, who
Yes.
won Coach of the
Yes.
Year with the
They
Raptors,
got
and then they
fired.
fired him, and
Yes.
which
Yes.
is Masai Ujiri.
Crazy.
Masai
Yeah.
Ujiri.
Yeah.
The Lakers are they're dreaming. Don't worry, notes are taken. Don't worry about it, brother. We got you. But anywho, after Mike Woodson, he fires Mike Woodson, he hires Derek Fisher. That was a disaster.
Also,
Then he puts Kurt Rambis as the coach. That was a
also,
disaster. Then he puts Jeff Hornacek as the coach. That was a disaster. So we
and
get it.
don't forget his draft picks.
Yes, we're not. Listen, the list is too long. We're not going to get into that. We understand Knicks fans. We don't need to get into that. But
Tingus Pingus.
as a yes, as a yeah, he took Donovan. He passed up on Donovan Mitchell. And all. Anyway, listen, Phil Jackson is going to be there. He's going to be around. I'm so it's reports that LeBron and Clutch have no idea what's going on, which is not a good sign. About coaching, and you want to involve him, but again, that's also reports. We'll see. But who do you guys think should be the Lakers' next head coach?
Man,
Yeah.
it's a lot of different candidates, man. It's honestly it's all over the
Please
place.
no Doc Rivers.
And
Please.
no, hell no. And when I seen that the Zen Master was involved, I'm like, okay, I like this because like you said, like he's loved by Laker Nation. You know what I mean? Like Like Jeannie was like, "Yo, we need your help. Like, you love this team, we love you. Like, help us out." But too many hands in a cookie jar. You know,
Yes.
you
There's
got
also a report
Mhm.
about Phil Jackson, who takes liking to Russell Westbrook because
Mhm,
he reminds him of,
mhm. Right,
we all know, Kobe Bryant.
right.
Kobe did stamp him as well. So there is this possibility of Russell Westbrook is on the roster next year.
And
Um,
also, there's another Phil who who's taking some interest and want to be a head coach, and our
Mr. Phil
guy
Handy.
Phil
Feel
Handy,
handy.
and to Ernest's point, somebody who has a voice in the locker room, and I'm like, like
You
I
can
think
clearly see
you
that
can right,
during the time with Vogel and the
yeah,
the apparel that was going on, like you could clearly see there were times where it was Phil Handy that was like getting in the face of LeBron or
hmm
AD
hmm
about whatever But there's also a report that came out too, and I hate to say those reports because it's like, ugh, but like that Russ kind of didn't listen to Phil Handy. Like it's just a whole microcosm just like crap that's going on, and I think all of us as Laker Nation should just relax and let the team do what they got to do,
yeah.
and then criticize after the moves are made. But to pre-criticize
It,
based on
it, it's
reporting,
good. It's gonna happen
it's all
regardless, man.
speculation. Right? It's
It's
all
it's gonna, it's
speculation.
gonna happen regardless, and it kind of sucks being a sports fan and being a diehard Lake fan because like you just know everything you type, everything you tweet, everything you post, like it can only do so much, right? You
Right.
know what I mean? And
Hmm.
what you spoke to about the whole Steve Nash situation in Brooklyn about getting Ben Simmons to come back, like they felt that pressure from social media, like yo, we gotta have Ben Simmons back for game 3, for
Yeah,
game 4,
like
because
yeah, like think about that, man. Like the dude didn't play all year.
right.
He had a back issue,
hmm
and the biggest caveat to me and the biggest issue I had was you guys are not a defensive team. You have defensive deficiencies, and you're gonna ask the guy who's probably your best defender on the roster, who has
hmm
not played, to come back and guard Jason
Tatum
Tatum
and
and
Jalen
Jalen
Brown.
Brown because you
Yeah,
guys cannot do it, and
right.
you need him to do that. Come on, that's not fair. It's not
Yeah,
fair.
Hmm.
yeah.
Not fair.
But I just think it's the part that sucks, but also like we just got to see what they do, whether we like it or not. We're gonna criticize regardless. That's sports, man.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yep.
then lastly, before we exit, there has been talks about LeBron and AD supposedly, the Lakers
We
should
still talking
trade.
about this, man.
Listen, the Lakers are not trading LeBron James and Anthony Davis. It is not smart for them to trade those two guys. They will not get better if they trade those two guys. So for everyone out there that thinks, yo, the Lakers should do this because they're strapped, they don't have any cap space, they don't have any picks to give up. The Lakers have 2 first-round picks they can give up this year, this offseason. Okay, if Russell Westbrook opts in, there's a $47 million expiring contract, and we all know not every team in the league is here to win. There are teams who are here to save money, to save cap space, whatever the case may or what may happen. So this notion that the Lakers are completely strapped and they can't do anything, it's complete and total BS. It is for clickbait. It is for to get reactions out of fans and engagement.
hmm
Don't listen to that. It is not
hmm
true. And like I
Hmm.
said before, just wait till you see what happens because I guarantee you things will happen. Whether you like it or not, things will happen. And we're going to see. But the notion that the Lakers can't do anything this offseason and they're stuck with Westbrook or they're stuck with this and 80 doesn't have trade value, and that is all BS. I can guarantee you there is 29 other teams that would take one of the 3 players, if not all 3 players, on this Lakers squad. So
hmm
let's stop with all this stuff and let's just let the team do what it does, man, and then go from there, and just go from there. But other than that, we're excited to continue the NBA second round tomorrow. Again, game 3 between Phoenix and Dallas and Philadelphia and Miami. And then on Saturday, game 3 between Golden State and Memphis and um, Brooklyn and Milwaukee. I mean Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Jeez, Boston and Milwaukee. Game 3
They
on
they
Saturdays.
they in
So
Cancun, bro.
yeah, right next to the Villa, next to LeBron and AD. But yeah,
Hmm.
until next time, guys. Thank you for listening. Again, I can't thank you enough for the support, but continue to like, subscribe, to our channel and our podcast on Spotify and Apple and Google Play and all StreamYard everywhere. So again, thank you for the support, guys, and until next time, peace and love.
Peace.